Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me well. Audio is good. I will start the stream here shortly, as usual. Hope you all are doing well. Make sure to like the stream, share it. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Wolf. Good morning, Chromebook. Good morning, Cloud. Good morning, MS. Christopher, FEG. Tom, good to see you. Jay, Wolf, Ozzy. Good morning, Jake. Selink. Good morning. Good morning. Rix, good morning. I'm doing very well, Wolf. Thank you for asking. Francis, good morning. Theo, Akabar, Memory. Good morning, Luis. I forget if I'm messing up your name. Berto, good to see you. All right, so it looks like everybody, per usual, is in here. Is ICT live streaming again today? I don't know if he is or not. I'm gonna do the charts on here. So let me know if you can see the charts. Yep. Good morning, Luke. Good morning. Who else? Southern D. Make sure to like the video, please. I do appreciate it. Good morning. I will trade. Good morning, Will. All right. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, today, hopefully you guys were watching last night's video. I think it was a really good video. Let me know in the chat if you watched it and what you thought of it. I felt good about it, to be honest with you. I felt good after producing it. So, I generally, obviously, I don't have like an intention when I do those videos. I don't have obviously to go over the day and review it, but whatever comes out of my mouth, sometimes it's some really good information, sometimes it's so-so, but I felt good about that one. Took a beautiful TP after lunch session. Awesome. Good to hear. What's going on? If you're just tuning in, if you could just like the video, that's all I really ask. So let's go over the higher time frame. The reason I mentioned the video yesterday is because I always do at least some type of forecast going into the next day with the daily log. So it's a recap plus predictions for the next day. Awesome. Thank you. So on the daily time frame and weekly time frame in here, this is what we're always doing. We're always paying attention to the weekly and the daily, and we're reading it, seeing what it's doing throughout the week. We're paying attention to potential weekly profiles. So thinking in terms of setting the high or the low of the week, what day is it going to do that? Depends on the profile, of course, that you're looking at, whether it's bullish or bearish. So I'm unsure this week, to be completely honest with you, if we're going to keep expanding higher or if we're going to have some type of retracement. With FOMC and NFP, I plan on, if today can be fruitful, I plan on not trading the rest of the week. And I'll paper trade, I'll still live stream, but per my protocol in ICT, it's best to not trade those days. You could still find some good success in them if you're more experienced. I know I could trade FOMC and NFP with confidence. I know I could. But I do want to demonstrate what we as ICT students should be doing and disciplining ourselves in terms of rules. So if you look at the weekly time frame, this wick, I'm just paying attention to that currently. We're basically right at the CE of it. So remember last week with the daily wick, wicks can act as gaps. Not saying that we're going to short off of this, but it's just something to keep in mind today. Daily time frame, we closed above yesterday, above Friday's high. So this turns into this last down close candle, a bullish order block. We don't have to retrace into it in order to expand higher. It would be a good sign if we did today, and then attack Wednesday's high. It's a really nice buy side liquidity pool. Same with Thursday's high. So in terms of narrative and a bias, if you're struggling with that, just looking at the last few previous days and you're just paying attention to daily highs and lows, because those are major sell side and buy side liquidity pools, and they're easy to target, they're easy to see. Even looking back your last 3 previous days. So from here, Friday, Monday, Friday, Thursday, just looking at those last 3 previous days, you're looking at, all right, where are the highs in here? Where are the lows? To me, that high with the narrative would be a draw on liquidity, and same with Wednesday. Going into the 4-hour chart, talked about how yesterday it kind of confirmed to me at least that I'm not going to be looking for lower prices currently as I was in the beginning of the week. It kind of just proved me wrong in the PM session, and I was able to switch with it. Nothing wrong with it. You're going to get a lot of times the analysis wrong, but you don't take anything on it. You don't even execute on the idea. So it's fine. Being right and wrong doesn't equal to profitability. As long as you're able to switch gears with enough evidence, that's fine. So we're residing inside of this inefficiency here currently. I'm curious to see today if we truly do get an expansion out of this, and we're going to want to attack the buy side liquidity that is resting above price. We have a news event driver right at the silver bullet window hour, so I'm going to be waiting for that to play out until I execute on a idea, and that's what I advise you all to do. My bias going in today is I'm looking for higher prices. I'm looking for this buy side liquidity pool, particularly at last Wednesday's high. And I will go down to lower time frames and show you what we're currently inside of and what we're doing. Looking at the 1-hour time frame. Oh boy, let me take a few of these things away. So if you're wondering, yes, most of the time I'm having my annotations on the chart that it's on. That's just because I don't like too much clutter. So in here, we have buy side liquidity pools. What did we do yesterday? We shifted above an old high. What is this pattern here? What is that? That's a bullish breaker. So look at your highest up close candle, the biggest, beefiest candle, which would be here. We don't necessarily have to retrace into that, but it is an area that we could. We're currently residing inside of this inefficiency here. So we could just expand away from this fair value gap and want to rally towards the highs. We may dip into this breaker. And the mean threshold of this breaker is the last point of interest for me. If we start trading through it, we start bleeding through it, this mean threshold, then a bullish bias for the day would be invalidated. Particularly, I would want this thing to really expand higher today. Otherwise, we're going to move into consolidation. We're not going to rally lower. It's going to move sideways. So you have to be kind of aware of that because of the range that we're kind of in. So it's going to need some speed today if we're going to get to these targets, which we have, like jet fuel, that news event driver that can propel us towards that. So that's a good sign. That's why we like news event drivers. I'm not scared or fearful of news event drivers. I'm happy when they're here because it induces volatility in the market. It makes things easy. It's loose, right? It's fluid. So only times that you should be concerned is with NFP, FOMC, CPI. Even then, so if you wait out the first 15, 30 minutes, you can usually let the volatility die down and get a clear direction. So those are on my agenda today. Let's look at lower time frames in here. We have a new day opening gap, which if we are in that area and there's some type of entry pattern there, then we can utilize that as a confluence for whatever is there to go long, if it is a bullish bias for the day. So we have this 15-minute, remember the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 15-minute, all in the same area. That's a good, when you have layered fair value gaps from a higher time frame to lower, it's a good sign. Doesn't mean we're automatically bullish. I'm not going to be buying in here until I see further evidence. Obviously, I'm going to wait for the news event driver to play out because I could be completely wrong. News event driver releases and we just snap off lower. And that's the reason why I wait for news event drivers. 95% of the time, I execute after a news event driver plays out. That's just my style because I think it's, to me, I don't have any fear if the news event driver releases. I don't have any fear that I'm going to miss anything. If I miss a good move because I didn't enter pre-news event driver, that's fine. Because more likely than not, I would rather wait for that because I could easily get stopped out, be wrong on the news event driver release, and that's that. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it. I think it's a good idea, especially for newer to intermediate to even advanced, traders. Some people have different opinions, but That's just my risk style and what I particularly like. So currently we're residing inside of this fair value gap. We have relative equal highs in here left from yesterday, old high from Thursday, and then Friday or Wednesday's high from last week. So hopefully that makes sense. And we're just opening up currently at the open. So let's dig down to some lower time frames. If you refine the 5-minute, right where that 15-minute is, look at where the 5-minute is. So that's currently what we're inside of. What did we just do? We took out sell side liquidity here. And I'm not fearful of anything. I'm not fearful. Even if this thing was to rip off before the news event driver, I'm not executing on the idea. I'm not doing anything. Until that news event driver plays out, I'm not touching price. And for some of you, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to learn patience. But patience comes from confidence. Patience comes from trusting your model and trusting yourself and trusting your judgment. That's where confidence derives from. And if you don't have that confidence, it means that you don't have knowledge. You don't have experience, and you don't have wisdom. And that comes through, obviously, spending time with these charts and spending time with these concepts. So if you don't have that, try to lean on somebody else's, aka mine. Let me look at the chat here. For all of those who are tuning in, please like the video. Please, please, please. It's the only thing I ask. Hope you all are having a good morning, a good day. My first time here watching your videos, and yep, like your work. Looking forward to learning from you. Awesome. Appreciate it. FEG, I mean, as I discussed before, that's a good. We like news event drivers. Do not be scared of them. Do not be fearful of them. It's a good thing. We like them. Marco, yeah, I mean, at a later point in time, if you do ask questions, try to keep it to at least the charts or something that doesn't completely distract me away from price. On the weekends, I'll do some Q&As and stuff like that in the future. So if you have other questions, try to keep those for a later point. Morning, everybody. We have 10 news. Yep, helps me a lot seeing how you mark up the charts. Awesome, I appreciate that. Amazing, amazing. Mark TH gap, so I'll go ahead and mark that out as usual. So today we opened up lower than we closed yesterday. So even though I got this question yesterday and I explained it, this is the entirety of the RTH gap. So you can utilize this entire area, but this liquidity void from where we opened today on the RTH gap, that inefficiency in price there is particularly what I'm paying attention to, and that's going to be looked to be filled in, right? So you can utilize both areas, and you can extend it out in time and utilize it throughout the entire day. I utilize both, but most of the time I'm paying attention to the actual liquidity void that is there. So for your information, and I always put it out to my right side. Again, that is a new day opening gap from today's open. So pay attention to that. Look how we utilize that throughout the session and how we gravitate away from it or from it. Uh, 15-minute chart, how do you determine it's a bullish bias? Well, it's not just a 15-minute time frame. Remember, as I constantly preach, what did I start out with on the stream? If you just got here, then that explains. But the first thing I did was I went to the weekly time frame and I went to the daily. I'm deriving all of this analysis from a daily and a weekly and monthly time frame. I don't just jump to a 15-minute time frame and a 5-minute time frame. I spend time with these higher time frames and I observe them. I analyze them. I try to see what they're trying to tell me. Those are key factors. So we have a small inefficiency in here on the 5-minute. I'm just going to make note of it. If we do get above it, we can treat it as an inversion. Go. If you're just tuning in, I'm not looking to do anything until the news event driver comes out. I have a bullish bias on the day currently. I'm looking for the relative equal highs. I'm looking at these higher buy-side liquidity targets for us to run up into. If I don't get that, then I'll just have to see what happens with the news event driver. What website I use? Forex Factory. I think it's the easiest, most universal website. So, I mean, all you really need for index features is the USD folder, and I only have red and orange on. If I dig down into a 1-minute time frame, see how we've taken out sell stops on a 5-minute, on a 15-minute, we've taken out sell stops there. If you look at even a more fractal picture, we've taken out sell side liquidity here. And what is this pattern? What's this low, high, lower low, higher high pattern? That would be a bullish breaker. So it's particularly all of these last up close candles. What I'm doing is I'm picking out basically the beefiest, most up close candle in that series of price. So particularly that one there. I'm not saying to go long off of it. I'm just analyzing price. I'm reading it. The most crucial, important factor of these concepts is what? It's time, right? So for me, if I know I have a news event driver ahead of me, then I'm going to wait for that. That's my particular style. I'm going to wait for that news event driver to play out. If I miss a move, quote unquote miss a move, I'm not fearful, because I only need a certain amount of handles, certain amount of points to be content for the day. And I know we have enough tools in our tool shed for us to enter into the market and get what we need. So I always preach about that, is if you're confident within your own system and confident within your own strategy and in yourself, you're never fearful. Of course, I'm not a robot. I feel the fear missing out, or I feel FOMO, but I also let myself know that I have enough experience, I have enough tools in my tool shed and skills to enter the market at basically, not at any point, but if there's something there, I'm able to enter into the market. So you can see here, currently we're just utilizing that breaker right from the open. If we just continue to expand higher, and even with the news event driver, we just expand higher, that's perfectly fine. That's what I would honestly like to see. But who knows, with the news event driver, we could have a lot of manipulation. I don't want to be inside of a position before that plays out. Again, this is all my style. This is what I'm doing. Doesn't mean you have to be doing it, but it's what I've found success with, right? If you do look at YM and ES, those both made higher highs yesterday on, if you go out to your 60-minute chart, your 1 hour, and your 4 hour, they both made new higher highs. And that is a bearish SMT because NQ has yet to make that new higher high. But when you're in an extremely bullish market, and this goes for bearish, if two of them are making a new high and you are electing to believe that again, Q is going to make another new high with your analysis, then that's fine. They're going to just follow through. It's good. They're in sync with each other. Let me look at the chat in here, make sure. Weekly wick CE. Yep, I annotated that right at the beginning. It's okay, Rick. Yep. If you're just tuning in here, please like the video, share it. I appreciate it. For those who've been in here, if I do get questions that you've seen me answer a whole bunch of times, I'm sure it will happen again today. Feel free to answer. You don't have to, but I really do appreciate it. Because I'm sure somebody's going to ask me today, I'll put a bet on it, how do I get the daily candlestick on my chart? How do I get the 1 hour candlestick on my chart? So it's the higher time frame indicator. Hello, JP. Emmanuel, good morning. It's good, my brother. Akbar, awesome. Appreciate you being here, tuning in. See you become big on YouTube. Don't forget your ones. Of course not. All right. Social media has never changed me, and whether I'm streaming to one person or 1,000 people, I mean, it's the same thing to me. It's the same stuff. Keem, were you gonna ask what indicator that was? How did I get it? David, yeah, I watched a little bit of Hydro. He's awesome, man. I give all kudos and props to people live stream, man. P Trader, appreciate that. Boy, that's not funny, man. I'll have my chat. Sorry, one moment. I'm looking at something. Let me know if you can hear this music. I gotta turn this off. You shouldn't. All right. So if you look at price currently, at least on a 15-minute time frame, just reading it, this is a mitigation block. It is different than a breaker, right? Why is it different than a breaker? Well, look at the pattern, the difference between a breaker and a mitigation block. So if you look to the left of you, look at a breaker. This is a bullish breaker, but you're taking out a swing low or a swing high. If you're looking at a mitigation block, it's simply a continuation pattern, right? In order for this to be a breaker, this would have had to take out this high and then dropped lower. But simply, this is just a continuation. So mitigation blocks are different than a breaker. It's a different pattern. So you have to understand the difference between them. It's the same theory, right? It's the last up close or down close candle, but the pattern's different. So currently we're residing inside of this mitigation block in here. Akbar, yeah, I've played music before in the background. Some people like it, some people don't, and I've gotten copyrighted for it, so I've elected not to put music on here. So feel free to put your own music on. I always have music playing. I need it. Keeps me focused. Do I like swing trades? I used to be a swing trader, but I've switched my style over the last 6 years, and I've elected to just be an intraday scalper, really. It just fits my personality. A propulsion block is when that's different. That's completely different than a mitigation block. A propulsion block is when you reach down into an order block, it expands away from the order block, and then it reaches down into a second order block. That would be a propulsion block. Yeah, it definitely could have. I mean, my particular style, right, is time. So I'm waiting for time. I mean, if there wasn't a news event driver ahead of us, I don't know if I'd be taking it currently. I've always stated this, is wait for the first 30 minutes. Whether you have a news event driver ahead of you or not, I think waiting for that first 30 minutes, at least the first 20, until you move into the macro, is the best bet for 90% of you, 95% of you. I mean, there's an exception to the rule, but I think waiting for time is very, very crucial because you're going to save yourself from a lot of losses, a lot of headaches, man. Pepper, I think that's just on your end. Let me see what I got. Sometimes for the viewer, it shows a little bit different. I got 158 likes, so if we can bump that up, there's 450 in here. It takes 2 seconds. I forgot to mention, as far as dollar index, I mean, this thing's been inside of consolidation, so I haven't been utilizing it in my analysis that much the last couple weeks. Until dollar index starts moving in a clearly one-sided direction, then I will utilize it. But if dollar index is inside of consolidation, I disregard it. And it's fine. Index futures are still allowed to move freely, but it'll have great influence when it is moving in a certain clearly one-sided direction. But if you've been trading forex or just observing dollar, I mean, you've seen it's been inside of consolidation. Rejection blocks are the hardest to understand. Yeah, it took me years to understand them, and you don't need them. You don't need to know all these concepts. You don't need to know all of them in order to be profitable. That's the beauty of it. You need to know liquidity, time, one PD array, like a fair value gap breaker or mitigation block, whatever it is. You just need to know one of them, and maybe just liquidity rates and stop hunts. If you're able to see that, I mean, paired with time, I mean, you can have an easy model. But knowing all of these things really do help you, obviously, and that's where just being, if you're a nutcase like me or a fanatic where you want to know everything, you want to know every inch of these concepts, I mean, that's where you'll dive into it, and ICT has given us that. I mean, I know everything that is out there, but I don't utilize everything. Emmanuel, thank you, brother. Yeah, last night I felt really good about that daily log. No, I can't rank. They're all the same. There's nothing, because in that question, what that's telling me is which one can I have the least amount of losses with. It's none of them. Each one equally has the same amount of losses. I mean, it's what suits you, what catches your eye, and that comes through journaling and basically what you find best for your personality. So as far as right now, I mean, again, we're waiting for time, but I mean, look at the range. Even if I was to enter off of the breaker in here, I wouldn't particularly want to sit through all this with the uncertainty of the news event driver ahead of us. So that's a particular reason why I don't do that. I remember a lot of younger years, man. I mean, there's a lot of what comes with inexperience is fear and a lack of confidence. And the only way to gain that confidence and knowledge and wisdom is through the fire and putting yourself through that. I was talking last night in the daily log is there's going to come a point in time for a lot of you in your career where this happened with me is you know these concepts, you're doing, you know everything, and you just come to a point where you feel as if you're never going to be able to control yourself. You're like, man, I keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. I mean, you're when you think you've had it the worst, Emmanuel, I saw your tweet today. It was awesome. When you think you've had it the worst, man, this game will drag you even deeper and into areas that you never thought you could go. And I don't wish that upon anybody, but I want you to know that you can control yourself. You can get out of whatever mistakes and things that you keep repeating over and over again. But there's going to come a point where there's a lot of doubt and anxiety and fear where it's not even about the concepts. It's not about trading. It's just about yourself. You're thinking yourself and doubting yourself. And man, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to control myself. I can't stop myself from doing these stupid things that I know I shouldn't be doing. But I promise you, if you actually do the work, you do the things that you're supposed to be doing, you can stop yourself from doing those stupid things. You can overcome them. You can be successful. That's not to be motivational or inspirational right now. It's just the cold hard truth. But I mean, success isn't guaranteed. Use that fear to you. I mean, for me, that's scary. Like, this isn't owed to anybody. You could grind at this for the rest of your life and never be successful because you keep repeating those same mistakes over and over and over again. None of this is guaranteed to any of you. So I utilize fear to motivate me. Some people that's too extreme, but I mean, who says that you're going to be successful at this? Who's guaranteeing you that? Nobody is. Ralph, how long have I been trading for? About 6 years. I've been using ICTs for about 4. Yeah, trying to use everything analysis paralysis. I completely understand and relate to that question. What price doing at the moment? What's it reaching for? I mean, to me, it's just engineering liquidity before this news event driver. I mean, that's the way I'm viewing it. That's the reason why I don't enter before them. Brett, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to reiterate it here on live in case people missed it. I think it was a really good rant. Yes, I am funded Curry. It's a possible trade probability up to 3 years. I feel like the markets are so manipulated. Yeah, I mean, Eris, man, it took me about almost 5 years. Like, I traded retail, quote unquote, concepts for 2 years and then discovered ICT. I mean, everybody's going to arrive on their own time. I can't tell you when you're going to make it, but you just have to keep pressing. You can't put a time limit on when you're going to make it or be successful at this. You can't do that because you're going to set false expectations up for yourself and you're going to become disappointed when you don't reach them. Well, Aztec, I mean, yeah, I can understand, but I mean, my advice is if you're failing even 10 of them in a row, I mean, at that point, just go back to paper trading, figure out what you're doing wrong, try to weed that out. I would try to lessen that amount. Yeah, I particularly only trade the silver bullet. I mean, yesterday was a good example of me trading the PM session over on my Twitter, where if AM session is choppy, it's consolidating, then I elect to trade PM. I mean, all the things that I look for with the same things. I mean, I'm looking for a bias. I'm looking for narrative. I'm looking for a lot of things. I can't explain what I'm looking at. You just have to sit with me live. I mean, if you've been here for a few weeks, you're catching my drift now. You understand what I do. If CJ, he would note the bullish flag. Yeah, like, I mean, it's a descending triangle pattern or ascending. I forget. But I mean, man, there was a point in time where somebody tried to show me ICT's concepts, and I clearly defended trend lines. I can understand if you don't be the person trying. I mean, at least try to open people's eyes up, but don't. If they're not willing to see it, then it's fine. You don't need to go out to bat for ICT or for these concepts. If you know they work and they're good, then that's all that's needed. You don't need to get in arguments with anybody. I've done that many times. It's a waste of energy. Not a sheep. Stoked to get into the material. Awesome, man. That book is amazing. I recommend it to everybody. Did you talk to? Because you describing it. That's funny, Theo. Hey, that's awesome, Nasdaq. That's really good. I'd love to hear that. All right, everybody who's been in here, I prepped you for this. Please answer Alan's question. Yes, I'm Central Time, Alex. Do I still study if you do? I mean, I don't look at any of ICT's content, no. I mean, I've graduated. I've, I don't even particularly even pay attention to them, to be honest. And that's what he wants for all of you. I mean, that's what I want for my own students as well. You don't want to have them, you know, still holding your hand forever. You eventually have to let go and do things by yourself. And I mean, there'll come a point where I just unfollowed ICT I muted him on every platform. I just didn't want to look at anything that he was doing. I tuned into my own self, the things that he taught me. Tokyo, a live stream every day. Charter is like, I mean, I could look up the definition of charter, but I mean, you could look at like charter boats, charter, whatever. I'm sure I'm blanking on what actually the definition of it means. I don't think it has to do with charts. For those who are just tuning in, I'd appreciate if you would like the stream. We got 531 in here. Do you only trade regular trading hours? No, I mean, I utilize the RTH gap. ICT's class was online. Yeah, it was a private group on his website. Do I trade on big news days? Yes, I do. Well, that depends what days you're talking about. Why are other ICT traders not so forgiving when it comes to dumb questions? I mean, even me, I get the same questions over and over again, but I try to add a lot of patience and I guess just empathy, because I understand that there's a lot of new people in here. I was once in their shoes, and I mean, for like that ICT higher time frame indicator, I mean, I've answered that so many times. It just becomes repetitive. As far as the charts, what we're looking at, if you look at YM and ES, those are both spiking up higher currently, while NQ is just kind of in the middle of the range. It's in between those two indexes and what it's doing. So again, we're just waiting for the news event driver, which is about 3 minutes. So let me kind of lock in here and maintain my focus. If I don't answer questions or if I'm not talking to the chat, it's because particularly I'm trying to focus on the charts. I can get distracted with the chat a lot, so. But in times like this where price is doing nothing, I'm going to talk to you guys because there's nothing going on. I mean, what am I going to talk about? You know. So I'm going to clear away that breaker and everything else. I mean, this fair value gap that is on the 1 minute is on the 5 minute here. So this discount inefficiency there. We're inside of the SIBI. Again, I don't see anything in here that I would do anything on. The market's a bit decoupled currently. I shouldn't say decoupled. I mean, NQ is decoupled away from ES and YM, but NQ could move into sync with those two others and everything's in sync. I think somebody asked me, I remember, about this mitigation block. Particularly, I'm annotating the entire thing. You could annotate just the bodies. I'm annotating the entire range of that. One of these days, we're going to get ICT in here. Which, I don't know. He may be watching these. I don't really know. I'm surprised he hasn't, though, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Not that I need his approval, but it would be great to have him in here. So if you remember, this is where panning out to the higher time frames, just gaining that perspective again. Sometimes you can get lost in the lower time frames, so pushing yourself to go back out to a 1 hour, 4 hour daily, checking on how everything's looking, it's a good idea. Dog. Yeah. It's fine. It gives me a chip on my shoulder, to be honest. And you'll see me, for those who keep asking about narrative and bias, and I mean, look at what I'm doing throughout a session. Like, pay close attention to what I do. I'm constantly scanning back out to a weekly, monthly, daily. So there's the news event driver we just released. And that's why I don't enter in before a news event driver. Doesn't mean that we're bearish, but it's the reason why I wait for these things to play out. So Nasdaq's making a completely new low, while ES and YM have, they're not. So that's a bullish SMT right there. See, we utilize that SIBI mitigation block, mean threshold there. Let me see. Yeah. So inside of that mitigation block, we have that fair value gap here. So if we were to reach off lower today, I wouldn't particularly love that. I just don't. I don't have as good as targets or bias for going lower today. For me to be really sold on looking for lower targets, I would probably need ES and YM to move in sync with NQ. Which, I mean, we're really selling off in here. That's the reason why I wait for news event drivers, because sometimes my bias is incorrect. I wasn't correct on that, but it saved me money. It saved me mental capital by not entering into that. If I was bearish and shorted, then obviously that would have propelled it. But most of the time, news event drivers, I just stay out of them for the particular reason of me probably getting something wrong. If you look at the 1 minute in here, so buy side was taken here, dropped off lower. We'll see if this may just be a false rally lower. There's bullish SMT right here. We're taking out sell stops. I would need to see a very large displacement higher in order for me to really like longs and continue with that bias for today. If you looked at the 1 hour, we dropped down into that bullish breaker here. So that last up close candle, there's a small fair value gap residing inside of it. So we dropped down into that. Bullish SMT. I'm overall bullish on the day, so I'm not faked out or concerned really by that drop lower. If anything, it's better. We'll have to see if this thing really wants to tear off higher today. Yep, Tom. Thank you. We gonna moon. I'm ready. I mean, again, that type of expectation. I mean, I don't know if you're just joking or serious, but I mean, even having the idea, like even going into a day with a bias, like this is 100% gonna happen. We're like you're setting yourself up for failure. Even being in a trade, like having that idea that this is going to work out without a doubt in your mind, and not even allowing the idea that this may not work out. I mean, you're setting yourself up to get pissed off, because you're gonna be like you're gonna be blindsided and be like, man, I never saw that coming. But I always allow the other side to be like, all right, I mean, I could see that. I mean, there's times where I can't see it and I still get stopped out. So there's, just allowing that idea that you can get stopped out and you can be wrong. I mean, it gives you peace of mind that, you know, you're not 100%. This is not guaranteed to you. You very well just keep selling off today, and I'm fine with that too. But I'm electing to stay on one side right now, as I talked about before, is drawing the line in the sand. I'm looking for higher prices today. I'm going to wait to see if I can get evidence for that. Nothing's telling me to switch my bias currently or to look for lower prices. Nothing's changed. But if this thing started to really move off lower and nothing else was in sync, then I would have to change my bias. But for now, I'm drawing that line in the sand and saying, all right, I'm sticking with this bias right now. Somebody just asked about the dollar. So dollar, if you look at it, it's inside of consolidation. I'm not concerned with the micro movements on lower time frames. I would be more or less concerned if I got a very large movement on the daily time frame that moved out of the consolidation, which is not doing anything currently. So I'm kind of just disregarding it. And you have to keep in mind, we have FOMC tomorrow, we have NFP this week. I mean, you have to be very nimble in these conditions. Your expectations cannot be extremely large. If we do start moving off higher, I do like that buy side liquidity pool that is resting above price. This fair value gap is from the 5 minute. So even though on the 1 minute we closed beneath it, on the 5 minute we're wicking underneath it. So to me, that was just a huge Judah swing lower. So if I get something here, I'll probably be looking to take a long here shortly. This SIBI can become an inversion. Look at this down close candle here. That's mean threshold bullish order block there. I'm anticipating this to become a bullish inversion. So we close above this last down close candle. I could utilize that as a bullish order block. If not, I could see where the fair value gap is or whatever forms. So I'm looking at how this closes particularly. So if we dipped down into that bullish order block, I would have entered into it. Particularly, I'm looking at these highs up here. Again, that's still a SIBI until we close above it, but I'm anticipating that to be a bullish inversion. So I'm going to enter in here. My stop loss is going to go right there. What in the world just happened on my... You guys still here with me? I don't know what's going on with my actual platform. Ah, jeez. Um, I don't know what is going on. Are y'all still here with me or not? My computer is freaking out. Holy, I don't want to cuss, but this is getting a little wild in here. Okay. Um, Damn, man. What is going on? That is at the most unfortunate timing in the world. So you're going to have technical errors like what I just had there. I don't know if any of you are still with me. I have no idea. So I may be talking to myself. But my platform for live trading just literally collapsed. I pressed the buy button. It literally just malfunctioned. So I am not particularly sure if anybody's still here. Damn, man. I'm right side of a trade. This is wild. My computer's still like bugging out. Again, I can't even read the chat. Like I don't even know if anybody's still here. I have no idea if the stream's still running. I can't even really even see my chart. My computer is completely malfunctioned. I mean, if you can still hear me, I'm looking for 17,685. This is hilarious. I think the streamers, we just blew up the stream here with too many viewers. Okay, I think we're good. um, I'm dying. That is hilarious. All right, I think we're good. Are we still here, boys? That was wild. I don't know what just happened in here. Um, yeah, I'm good now, I think. My Quant Tower, which I have my live funded account on, I executed an idea and it literally just freaked out. It literally canceled my trade and then closed the whole platform. I have no idea. Maybe that's on a Rhythmic or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, the whole idea is still there. I'm not freaking out or anything. I mean, it's unfortunate I'm not going to be able to get that on my live account, but I mean, sometimes you just have platform issues and things like that play out. I'm sure it's me live streaming and drawing a lot of internet. So, I mean, take the pros with the cons, I guess. I would like to see this displace and rally off higher from here. I don't want to let it sit inside of this area for too long. I mean, that bullish order block's the last line of defense in here. So if we do get up to those highs, I'd be looking to take out a partial above that. I use Quant Tower for my funded account, which is just a different platform. Because particularly, I've had issues in the past with trading Tradeovate on TradingView. So I enter on TradingView so you guys can see everything. Why did I place my stop loss here? Because I want it underneath the bullish order block, and even this last unclosed candle, the mean threshold of that bullish order block. it could return into that, and basically the rejection block in here. So it's basically going underneath this 5-minute fair value gap as well. So I want it underneath a few PD arrays. I don't want to choke it too close. I mean, yeah, you could think of it that way, Francis. I mean, it is the last line of defense, really, because if we trade through that, even the mean threshold, I wouldn't be a fan of it. At that point, I would elect to believe we're going to run for the sell side. So you need to know where your last lines of defense are, really, when you're taking a trade. I don't love ES. I don't love YM, to be particularly honest, but those things could spike up here in a second. We could utilize that as an inversion as well, if it gets above it. If not, then let's look at the 15-minute in here. Yeah, I'd really need a rally away from here. Look at the 1 hour. We dropped down into that breaker. For value gap, we're still wicking through it. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, that is the last line of defense. It needs to trade away from that. If not, then it's no good. Because we're just paying your stop loss to do its job and not letting emotions dictate what you're doing. I'm paying my stop loss to be there. I know it's in a place for a particular reason, so I'm letting it sit there. If you look at the wicks in here, particularly this wick, or even that previous wick to the right, 50% there. Be targeting that high. I mean, yeah, with these concepts, man, I mean, we're all seeing the same stuff. I mean, it's not like once you get in the groove, it's not rocket science, really. Of course, there's going to be losses or times where you get it wrong, but I mean, we're all viewing the same thing. I mean, this is the 2022 model. You take out sell side liquidity, you have a shift of market structure higher, above that high there, bullish order block. Just in place of the fair value gap, replace it with an order block. Buy side liquidity here, pre-market open, before news event driver. Think about all the people that are holding on to their sells or buy stops looking for a breakout above there. They're going to get targeted. Would you feel safe with your stop loss up here? I wouldn't. If you're new here, tuning in, I appreciate it if you guys would like the video, subscribe. So in here, I don't want to see it stall. I really would want to see it press higher. I don't want to see it return back into that order block in here. It needs to press higher from here. Just may need to give it a little time. Are these streams daily? Yep, I stream every single day. Silver bullet. That's a decent closure. I like that. I want to see the 5-minute rip through that and then be treated as an inversion. Same with the 1 minute. So that down close candle there, that's your bullish order block. Again, if you're looking at price, you want to see it constantly respect onside PD raise. So that's on side with what we're looking for, right? So you want to see that respected. You want to see price gravitate, close above the inversion, treat the inversion as support to send price higher again. So I'm constantly looking at it as on side, is it respecting on side PD raise? Mean threshold in here that we're right where that entry's at. Needs to get away from here. Yeah, so YM, look at YM. YM's dropping lower. That's not a good sign. I'm not saying to cancel the idea, but that's, be aware of that. Be aware of ES as well. Have to be paying attention to these things. We start dropping off heavy in here. It's not a good sign. I don't like YM. That's not good. Doesn't mean to can the idea or get rid of it, but because everything's still on side, everything's still telling me to stay in it, but YM could just be creating a lower low to create a bullish SMT, but I would want that particularly in sync with this, but it's not. You could reduce your risk if you wanted to, because what YM's doing. I'm not going to can the idea. I'm going to stick with it, but that's not a good sign. YM is tearing off lower. Nothing's telling me as far as NQ's chart to cancel the trade, but with YM doing that, it's so-so. And we're still inside. That's not an inversion yet. I'm just anticipating that. So we're still inside of a SIBI here, and we're still inside of a SIBI there. So you have to look at the opposite side as well. So it needs to go from here. I do not want to see it drop beneath that low in here. That's right where the mean threshold is. Please don't spam my chat. I don't know. I don't use FX replay, my man. That's good. That's what you want to see. We need a closure above that down close candle and rally towards those highs. Yeah, I mean, as far as dollar index, I mean, I'm not really utilizing that because, I mean, we're still inside of consolidation. So for me, looking at like lower time frame movement, it's not as much of an impact, to be honest. Hey, 700 viewers. That's a new record. Appreciate all those who are tuning in. I swear when I enter into a trade, it's like immediate. More viewers. Yeah, if you look at YM, I mean, look at the difference between YM, NQ, and ES. I mean, they could be printing a bullish SMT in here, but the fact is, to coupled away from it, I don't love that. It's not great. To be honest with what we're getting, I would probably take out 4 contracts at that high there. I'd rather just be safe than sorry with this week. This is the price action that you can kind of anticipate and look for days before FOMC, days before NFP. It's the reason why we're aware of them. We have protocols, we have rules surrounding them. So you can't be super overzealous with those these type of days. Why did I take this trade? Because window reward ratio to me is it's not extremely accurate, because This thing, I could hold off partials for way more than what I was even risking. It just depends on the criteria and what price is looking like. And if you have a high win rate, it oversees risk to reward, which particularly my win rate's pretty high. And I'm not trying to choke my stop loss super short. At this point, I would reduce it though. We're spending way too much time in here. Way too much time. It should have already gone, to be honest with you. I'm not going to can it just yet, but that's not a good sign. When you're spending too much time inside of an area, it's not good. Yeah, I'm going to can the idea. So that's me canceling out of a trade, not prematurely, but with enough evidence that I can't be inside of this trade any longer. We're spending way too much time in here. It's not giving me the evidence that I need. YM's ripping off lower. If this thing goes off higher, then I can re-enter into the market if I have enough criteria to do so. But I'm protecting myself from more loss than I need to endure. I saw enough evidence in here where we're spending way too much time. It's not respecting my trade idea any longer. So you need to look at the time factor when you're inside of trade ideas, especially with these concepts. The times that you're on side, it rips away from your PD rates. It doesn't spend a whole bunch of time. And with YM making new lows and ES making new lows, that's again, I've mentioned that in real time. That's a bad indication. You don't want to see that. So if this thing rips off higher, and I prematurely, quote unquote, took out of my position, it's fine. I can re-enter into the market. It's a lot of back and forth in here. It's pretty wild. And I'm not just FOMOing into this. I mean, I would probably need a closure above this high in here to really be sold on that idea. See a lot of just wicking. Yeah, Hydra cut his trade. I mean, yeah. Again, if this thing runs off higher, then it is what it is. I'll see if I can re-enter in the market. I wouldn't be upset at myself. I'm happy with that. I did what I was supposed to do. Excuse me if I'm sniffling. It's quite cold in my area. Yeah, I mean, if you look at YM, it's completely decoupled away from NQ and ES, so it's like a concerning factor for me. Yeah, the order block's still holding. Mean threshold, but may just be sideways. I'm not going to get FOMO'd into this, even though I was in a position, and I'm going to need some clear evidence for it. And you got to demand some standards out of your trades. You can't just be getting into anything. Same thing as a relationship. I mean, you have to have standards for your partner and things you look for. Welcome for all of those who are new. I appreciate all the new views, likes. I mean, unfortunately, I guess fortunately, I couldn't take it on my live account. I'll see if I can. I'm going to reopen the app. Hopefully we don't get another crash. So we took out sell side there. Look at a 15-minute. Yeah, That's where I'm panning out to higher time frames. It's all right. 15-minute, there's just the structure of price. Like I'm just trying to visualize like a whole run higher. It just doesn't look. I mean, the order flow is still bearish. We dropped down, made a new low in here. So again, this is the type of price action you have to anticipate before FOMC, before NFP. It's real sloppy. The delivery is not precise. You have to almost expect a loss or expect just sloppy delivery. So it's something that I'm aware of. Okay, apparently that trade is still on somehow. That's crazy. That's insane, actually. Well, deciding what I should do in here. Just for reference, the trade that I placed on earlier on my live account, that's what happened. Isn't that crazy? How's that position on? The whole platform crashed. I'm probably just gonna flatten the idea because I did that on TradingView. So just so we're all transparent there. And yes, if this thing moved off higher, I'm not gonna be upset about that. Following the rules and things that I'm trying to preach in here. So this SIBI inversion there. Yeah, but I mean, I want to be transparent. I mean, to me, that's not true. I canceled. I would have canceled it if that was still on there. So I mean, am I upset at that? No. So still on course with everything so far. So we'll see if we can re-enter into this market. Somebody. So I would look to see it in the next 5 minutes. If we close above that, thank you, Rissa. Yeah, it was a bit of a hectic little series of events. I'm sure if I wasn't live streaming, my platform would not have crashed, but I'm not sure why that happened. I've never had that happen to me. Thank you for answering his question. If you look at like a 2-minute, that down close candle in here, could utilize that. Just don't know if I'm completely sold on it. Really, in the next minute here, it's going to be the tell. Because if we close above this SIBI, then that would be a huge tell to me. So I'm going to wait for that. Because if I don't get it, then we're probably going to be in range-bound conditions, and I'm not trying to chop myself up, nor should you. And if anything, it's just a small little loss on the day, and it's just move on. But if, let's say in the next 30 seconds here, the 5-minute closes above the inversion, and we're closing above this inversion, then we can utilize that to enter into the market to go for the buy side there. So those down close candles, if you go out to your 2-minute, you'll see like one consecutive close candle. That's not a terrible close, but I particularly would have wanted it above it. Probably going to send it higher. And I'm not trying to make any sudden irrational decisions just because we are on side and then I followed my system, my protocol. Because there are a lot of times where you'll be in a trade and it's spending too much time and you're able to exit early and not take as much loss as you should have. That's a job well done. ICT teaches how to do that. So sometimes you get that incorrect. Obviously you're not perfect, but to me I'm happy with that. Because I think it easily dropped off lower. I would have took more loss than I should have. And I know if I'm still on side I can re-enter the market. But really what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for more information. This just doesn't, nothing's really sitting right with me with why I'm moving off lower. I mean, if you look at the open and the way we opened, ES made a higher high, YM made a higher high, while NQ failed to make a higher high. So that's a bearish SMT right there. So it's still not an inversion. I know I have it labeled that, but it's not. We have not closed above it, right? Doesn't mean that we're not going to, but that's just what I'm anticipating. Just real sloppy delivery, huh? So I'm entering off of this inversion. My stop loss, again with the risk reward stuff, it's going underneath this entirety of this inversion. I want to see if we respect that bullish order block in here and we expand higher. So I'm not going to put my stop loss right there. So it's underneath 3 PD rays. This inversion, bullish order block. We have another one here, and particularly this smaller inversion. And what I'd do is I'd pull off a couple partials above that. I'm just kind of hesitant to enter on my platform. I don't know if it's going to crash again. All right, looks like that worked. So we will see here. All right, stream didn't crash, my platform didn't crash, so I think we're good. So that bullish order block here, I really want to see that respected, to be honest with you. That's kind of the entry off of the inversion, off of this order block here. I would like to see it run through it higher. So anytime you're placing a stop loss, you have to think in terms of PD rays and how many there are. I'd like to have at least 2 or 3 beneath my stop loss, or in between that, I guess. And if this trade idea doesn't work, then I'm done for the day. That's it. I took my 2 trades, and that's it. So now I'm understanding that we're in a more of a high resistance profile. It may take a minute if this does end up working. Again, with YM just consistently moving off lower, it's not as well. Yeah. I'm still going to leave it on. I'm not going to cancel this. I'm going to just leave it as is. I know there's a lot on the chart in here. Where'd my music go? I'm not particularly obviously happy with that entry, but sometimes you can't be perfect. And that's the last line of defense. I mean, I'm probably going to get stopped out in here, and to be honest with you, it is what it is on today. Yeah, I'm going to exit out of it. So if this goes off higher, I don't care. I'm not going to keep pushing for any ideas in here. So that's that for today. Really nothing really to say about it. I mean, times that's going to happen. I'm not particularly satisfied with the entry that I had on that second one, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. Sure, I'll review it in hindsight and beat myself up over it, but in these type of conditions, that's it. I'm not going to push anymore. I'm not going to try to arm wrestle this market. I'm not going to try to do anything else. Like, these type of conditions are going to get you killed. If you try to arm wrestle this and try to think that you know more, I mean, most likely you're going to get it wrong. And again, people that say you don't take losses, I mean, they're lying. You're lying to yourselves. What platform? Yeah, it's Quan Tower. Quan, not Quad. Yeah, A7. I mean, I had basically one small loss here and then that loss there. So, I mean, in total, 20 handles. 20 handles you can easily grab. I mean, again, you have to look at your losses in terms of more or less handles in the movement. Yeah, I mean, this week you have to anticipate that we're going to have trash PA. I mean, we have NFP, FOMC. That's why we have these protocols in place. So it's a great example. I mean, but there's nothing else you can do. It's not like, you know, what's the point of getting upset at something that you have no power over, right? The only thing you have power and control over is your risk and the frequency and the amount of times you enter into this market. So that's the only power you can control. I mean, if I didn't have control right now, I'd be entering back into this market, risking more than what I previously just lost. I mean, that's the power that you wield. You have that power. So you have to really hone that and be happy with that. Understand that you have the power to control yourself. Yeah, I mean, per the protocol, it's. I mean, the rest of the week I may not be trading. I may have to just end this week on that loss there. I'll see what happens on FOMC and NFP. But even Thursday, I won't be trading Thursday. I know that for a fact. Thursday before NFP, I will not be live trading. I mean, FOMC, I may not, even tomorrow AM session, I'm not going to be trading that. I don't even think I'm going to be live streaming it. I'm going to be live streaming the maybe the FOMC event. But to me in here, it's just already showing signs that this is what you should expect. It's not out of left field. This is what you should anticipate. Yeah, Rista, I mean, the hardest thing to do is to end the week or end the day on a loss, because you don't want to sit with that negative feeling. You don't want to sit with that loss. You want to get it back so you can feel good and, you know, peacock around. But sometimes you just have to eat that. You have to eat that loss, and you have to sit with it and be fine with it. I mean, more or less, that's showing that if you can't, like I haven't in previous years, I mean, just a lack of patience. I know my model's going to repeat. I know it, when the conditions are ripe, I'll be able to easily oversee that loss. And it's nothing but just like a inconvenience for the day. That's so funny how many people left. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that's a live streamer that try to put you underneath a microscope. You know, if you take a loss, you're like, oh, you're a terrible trader. It's like, well, you weren't here all last week where we just took like 4 W's in a row. So, again, I always look at my win rate and I look at, you know, last week, like 3 or 4 wins in a row. So you take 1 loss for every 3 or 4 wins, that's fine, man. Yeah, exactly. I executed on my model and the rules. So only thing I would have critiqued myself on, and I'm sure I'll critique myself after this, is I knew that YM was ripping off lower on the re-entry in here, but we didn't quite close above the inversion. So there's a few areas that I could have done better. Again, sometimes with live streaming, I make mistakes that I might not have of in real time without an audience, but again, most of the things that I do is stuff I do in private anyways. So as far as what we're doing now, probably going to rally towards the sell side in here. But there's a lot of buy side liquidity, so I don't know if I'd particularly want to be shorting. I appreciate that, MS. Yeah. Again, like getting stopped out, unless somebody's getting stopped out every single time for like 90% of the time, then obviously, yeah, that's not good. But taking a loss here and there, I mean, it's normal. For some people, that's not normal to see because they're so like glued to social media and nobody ever shows losses, like ever. I mean, it's so normal to take even multiple losses in a row. It just feels weird because everything else is so backwards in life. Like, it's not normal to take a lot of losses, but yet still be profitable or still win in the end. Does live streaming drain you? Yes and no. I mean, to be honest, it's like an accountability partner. Because I know that I couldn't be on here just revenge trading or doing something stupid. I mean, I have 600 people watching me. So it doesn't really affect me psychologically as I thought it would. Because, I mean, I just execute on the ideas and the models that I already have. So it's not like I'm not trying to show off. I'm not trying to do something for the viewers. I'm doing it for myself. Yes, sir, Ozzy. Yeah, I mean, you pay your stop loss to do its job. All I'm going to do for the rest of the stream, I just want to, as per usual, I'd want to pay attention to the last, 20 minutes of the macro. As my protocol, I take 2 trades in a session, and I'm done. So if this wasn't for live streaming, then I'd turn off the computer and I'd walk away, because the charts can be like Medusa. You can not seduce is the wrong word, but it can influence you to do stupid things even though nothing's there. Especially after some losses, your emotions are going to be heightened, so you have to be aware of that. Thank you, Rista. I appreciate that. Is it possible to trade that 11 a.m. macro only start to head to TP? Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I wouldn't do anything personally. I don't even care if it rips right to my targets. I'm not going to touch price, because if I touched price, I entered into the market and I won. That's going against my rules. That's going against the things that I set out for myself not to do. So that's actually a loss. Anytime you do things outside your rules and you win, that's actually a loss, because in the future, that's not going to work out so well for you. And I had these rules in place because I know myself very well. I mean, after 2 trades, I'm likely to tilt. I'm likely to FOMO. I'm likely to have all of these emotions come into my trading. So it's best to just walk away. Come back tomorrow. Don't look at the charts the rest of the day. Don't look at Twitter. Don't look at YouTube. Just go out and live life. There's more to life than these charts. It's the reason why I really only trade the AM session, because I don't want to just be stuck in this perpetual loop of trading. Yeah, you need to, I mean, ICT's talked about how you have 3 people that reside within you. I mean, you have the analyst, you have the trader, and then you have the gambler. So you have 3 people constantly kind of battling within you. So, the analyst for me right now is saying to sit still. I don't see anything on the chart that would tell me to do something. Same with the trader. Sometimes the trader and the analyst can kind of be in agreement, which they are right now, and then the gambler, obviously, I mean, he's not He ain't talking so much right now, but at times he would be like, get back in the market, go do something, get the money back, get the loss back, and end the day on the win. But as you become more experienced, that gambler doesn't talk as much because you just understand that all of those decisions are stupid. I honestly love taking losses because I mean I ramble on about psychology. I know that's 90% of you. That's what you need is psychology. You don't need more technicals. If you can control yourself, control your risk. I mean, risk management and the numbers, they'll do all the heavy lifting for you. What is my goal for the day and week? It depends, but particularly like on my live account, I can shoot for about 50 to 75 handles a week. If I can do that, I'm content. I'm happy on IQ. That's gonna be different for ES. I'd be like on ES 10 to 20 handles on ES a week. I think that's fairly doable. Yeah, Rusa. Loses 1-0 FYI. That's loose. I mean, I guess in hindsight, that my system crashing saved me from a semi loss, which is weird. I can't wait to watch that back in the stream and see what happened. Yeah, Monzai took 2 trades. They're both losses, so just sitting still. I just want to see how this macro operates. I just want to do it for the viewers. And again, if this thing just rallied higher, took out all our targets, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be angry. It's part of trading. I can't control anything. Only yourself. Talk more about your higher time frame bias. That is what daily logs are for. I don't label it that. I don't have clickbait titles, but those daily logs, I can't preach more about them. They have so much significant gems in there. But if you look at the entire silver bullet session, I mean, right from that drop lower, I mean, what have we done in here? Nothing. So even in thinking in terms of what ICT was thinking today and what he was doing, I believe he was electing either to do nothing because of the protocol for this week, or B, he was actually long in here and he managed his position well enough to obviously not get stopped out. Yep, Trader Tom, that's my rules. If I take 2 losses, I'm done for the session. And if I wasn't live, then I'd be gone. I immediately hit the power button on my computer. I don't close these tabs because I know myself the gambler would reopen it up and be like, all right, what's on here? What's happening? I mean, it's very much like Medusa. It's gonna influence you to do something stupid. I get this question so much. What's my win rate and average R? I mean, your win rate's going to average. It's going to be different every single month. It's going to be different throughout 6 months in a year. So, I mean, I would say on average, I would say 75%. But that doesn't matter. You could have lower than a 50% win rate, and if you have a good risk reward, you have good risk management, you could still be profitable. Again, if you do the math and the numbers in terms of trading, it's unbelievable what you can do with a very low win rate. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's where your confidence needs to come from as well, is understanding your risk management plan. I mean, there's so many variables to it. Yeah, I mean, looking at today and just what played out today and going into tomorrow, I'm not going to find tomorrow high probability. I'm not going to touch price. I don't think I may not touch price the rest of the week, to be honest with you. I may take some paper trades on live, but on the live stream, but it doesn't mean you should be taking those. It's just getting a read of the market. It's the hardest thing to do. I'm telling you, to sit when you take a loss and you have to be able to eat that loss for the rest of the week. It's a hard thing to do, but that's what the protocols call for on an NFP FOMC week, is not to do anything, basically after Tuesday. So that's what it's telling me to do. Yeah, I'll still stream. I'll still be here, but as far as Taking trades, I limit myself to losses. Well, I've learned over time to take loss. Yeah, I mean everybody has their threshold in terms of like how far they can push themselves in terms of losses. I know my risk um, limit or what I'm tolerant to. I mean two losses. By then, if I move on to 3, I'm most likely going to lead on to 4 to 5. Like, it's a downward spiral. So you have to stop yourself. And if you can only take one loss and that's all you can endure, I mean, then that's it. You call it quits and you're off for the day. And as a newer student, I mean, that's what I'd recommend, because all you can do, if you could only take one loss, that means the only thing you could do for the whole week is take 5 losses. I mean, that's a lot, but it's better than taking 10, 15, 20 losses. So it looks like that macro we're just spooling into the sell side. Would I have seen shorts today? Nope. That was not my bias, was not what I was looking for. So I followed my motto and my rules and everything that played out. Only thing I could have done differently is possibly just not have re-entered, but it is what it is. Do I cut my risk? Yeah. Typically, if you want to do that rule set, what I do is like, if I take a loss in a session, I can keep the same amount of risk for the next trade for my 2 trades. But if I lose those 2 trades like today, then tomorrow I'm moving on to 2 contracts until I make back that loss. So tomorrow, if I do execute, which I'm probably not going to do in a live setting, but if I did, it was a regular week, then I'd be at 2 contracts instead of 4. But for a newer student, if you take a loss, immediately reduce it to half. So in my younger years, I mean, I probably would have been trying to do something in here, and there just really isn't anything. I mean, sometimes there's just nothing here. You can't force shit. Am I joining the Robbins Cup? No, I'm not. I mean, even plainly said, I don't think I'm. I know I could definitely do well percentage in it, but in terms of competing with, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that. I think at a later point, I definitely have that on my goals to compete in the Robbins Cup, but at this point in time, I don't think so. I think let alone live streaming every single day and showing the process of it. I mean, it's good enough proof for people if they want to see how good you are. Yeah, I mean, if you look at ES, look at YM. I mean, even if you're trading either of those today, it's that's when I re-entered in the market. I was looking at, that's what I forgot. ES printed a new lower low, so that was a bullish SMT. And sometimes subconsciously you don't even like, you don't recognize something until after the fact, but subconsciously you pick up on it on your trade entries, and that's just pattern recognition and you spending a lot of time with this. Good to see you in here, Shadow. I meant to reach out to you, brother, to be honest with you, because I see your execution videos, and I am so bad with editing. Most of the time when I post to Twitter execution videos, it comes out not in 1080p for some reason. And I was going to reach out to you and see how you do that. I'd love to collab, man. I mean, I love people who are out here live streaming and doing this stuff, man. A lot of people have egos and don't want to collab with other people. And I mean, dude, I think the more the merrier. We're all trying to shoot for the same goal here, is not work a job and live financially free. Exactly, Roosta. The profitable traders are made in drawdown. That's when they're made. Like, most of you have not experienced being in a month or 2 months of drawdown and then crawling your way out of that to be profitable. I mean, that is, to me, those were huge milestones in my career where I was like, okay, I can really do this. But nobody shows that on social media. They're not going to show you that they're in drawdown. They're just showing you their execution video of them winning, and then that's it. So would I have taken a long in here? No, I don't see a reason to do that. When I'm taking a short, nothing for us. I saw somebody message me. Stream's still good. Appreciate that. I can't wait to go back and watch what happened. When's leg day? Let me see. Probably Thursday or Friday. Today I have buys and tries. My favorite day. That's it. You know, even having things outside of trading to do and keep yourself occupied. I mean, that's important. So if trading's your whole life, then every single thing that happens to you is going to be super major. But if you have other things that are more important than trading at times, I mean, you'll take a loss and be like, I could care less because it's not that important. Shadow. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. I'm going to follow you on Twitter real quick. I meant to do that yesterday as well, but I just forgot. You got a sick profile picture, to be honest. I'm jealous. You sure it's going lower? I don't know what it's doing. I don't have a bias. Like it's fine not to say you don't know. Because right here, this is, I mean, look at the whole day in the range that we've kept in from even the opening to silver bullet. I mean, look at the silver bullet range. And this is where, like, even if you take a loss in these conditions, it's like, man, on a good day, you're going to open up 100 handles plus. And it's going to be easy to take that, get that loss back and even more. Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be it for the live stream. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I don't really see anything else for the day, so I'm not going to sit on here longer than needs to be. I appreciate all the new viewership, all the likes, subscribers. Follow me on Twitter, @_CJ Trades. I will update tomorrow. I will probably be live for FOMC. I'm probably not going to live stream the AM session. I'd rather keep it for FOMC and live stream that. So if you guys are able to tune in the afternoon, that'd be great. If not, of course, there's going to be a recap video. So until tomorrow, good luck and good trading, everybody. Be safe.